Tally-ho! Now, the Gigabyte AERO 15X is a very unique laptop. It has that thin, light, portable, premium aluminium build that creative professionals like to use, like the XPS 15, MacBook Pro, etc. But don't be fooled by that, because this thing is an absolute powerhouse and it can game as good as any gaming laptop. Now, I would not class this as a gaming laptop. I mean, even Gigabyte have their own gaming laptop line, which is called the AERO, so I wouldn't compare it to an ROG or an Alienware or any other gaming laptop for that matter, but it can certainly perform as good as any of those with the same hardware. But I would more call this a premium, light, portable, ultrabook content creation device, because it has those killer displays calibrated by X-Rite, so even though it games like a champ, it has what the content creator wants. Now my regular viewers will know that I'm actually looking at a 15-inch laptop with a GPU for video editing, etc. So I took a very particular look at this, because this is potentially my laptop. And if you are new around here, please subscribe and give me a like if you like this video. But will it be my next laptop? Well, let's find out. Starting at around 2K US, I see them here in Australia at Scorp Tech for just a tad over 3,200. That's for the 15X, of course, and around £2,000 and 2,200 euro or so. Now, this is of course the Gigabyte AERO 15X. There is an AERO 15 which has a GTX 1060 in it. This one here I have has the 8th generation i7-8750H processor. That's a 45 watt 6 core part, 2 M.2 ports, so you can put 2 M.2 SSDs, supports Optane as well, 16 gigabytes of RAM in single channel. It has 2 RAM slots, so you can add another 16 gigabytes if you want and run it in dual channel for extra performance with a maximum of 32 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabyte SSD M.2 NVMe, and of course what makes this so special, considering it's in a slim light premium package, is it has a GTX 1070 Max-Q, and there's nothing else in that thin and light premium category that has a GTX 1070 Max-Q. Build quality is really good, CNC machined aluminium, good solid build, matte black, has a carbon accent on the top lid there. Now, it may not look like a piece of art like the MacBook Pro, but the build quality is a very high standard. It has a utilitarian look, an understated look. If you take this to work, your boss is not going to think you have a gaming laptop, that's for sure. And it also has those super thin 5mm bezels, so it just looks modern, premium. Great job Gigabyte have done here with the build. So instead of comparing this to gaming laptops, I would say this is more a competitor to, say, the XPS 15, MacBook Pro, Razer Blade. Even though the Razer Blade was probably more gamey, I'll compare it to more content creation devices rather than full-on gaming laptops. 18mm thick, 2 kilos, 4.4 pounds. That's really amazing that such a thin and light package can house a GTX 1070 Max-Q and a 6-core 8th generation Intel CPU without throttling. I'll get to that later. And if someone asked me what would be your perfect laptop, what would you want in it? This would be close to it, because this has every single port you need. 3 USB 3.1 Type A's, Thunderbolt 3, 4 lanes, Ethernet. Nothing in this class has Ethernet. HDMI 2.0, mini DisplayPort 1.4. It also has the latest UH2 SD card reader for super fast transfer speeds. We're talking up to 300 megabytes per second at the moment. Probably will be faster later on when newer cards come out. Also has a headphone microphone jack. Every port you need, this thing has. And as I said, nothing else in this class has all those ports. Fantastic job on ports. They gave you everything you want. It's like they actually listened. The sound, it's decent sound. 2-watt speakers, Dolby Atmos. When you're gaming, of course, it is a pretty loud laptop because it houses such powerful internals. It will get as loud as a gaming laptop, but you still will be able to hear the speakers. They're certainly not the best speakers I've heard, but they're above average. And what I liked is the gun sounds were muted and the footsteps were amplified. That's what I want. And it was great gaming with it. When it comes to keyboard and trackpad, I do like the keyboard. It has a nice amount of travel, nice amount of feedback. This is one area where you could say it is a bit more gamery, if that's a word. Gigabyte Fusion keyboard, per key RGB backlight. Some people have complained about chatter and inconsistent light. My unit was fine, And if you do have any issues with the keyboard, make sure you update to the latest firmware. All those problems have been resolved. Overall, I do like the keyboard. It is cool that it has RGB. It's not necessary on this sort of device, but hey, it spices things up, as I've said before. When it comes to the trackpad though, I can't be so complimentary. It's not my favorite trackpad. It has ELAN drivers. It is perfectly serviceable, and when you get used to it, it's above average. It's not terrible, but compared to everything else on this laptop, which is like top drawer, maybe the sound's not the best of the best, but everything else is top drawer on this laptop. The trackpad is a little bit of a letdown, but it is certainly very usable, and you will get used to it after a while. One thing to note on the keyboard too, it does have a number pad as well, so the keyboard and the trackpad are offset a little bit to the left, and you will get used to that pretty quickly. Now when it comes to displays, you have two options. This one here is a 15.6 inch Full HD 144Hz display, and you have the option of an Ultra HD 4K 100% Adobe RGB display, both color calibrated by X-Rite. They're Pantone certified, color accuracy is bang on, and this Full HD 144Hz display is fantastic for gaming. It gives you that super connected feeling. I did have a minor light bleed at the bottom of the display, but it wasn't a deal breaker there. Pretty much any LED or IPS panel has some amount of backlight bleed. It is a matte display, and when I showed it to other people like my mate Dodgy Dave, and he said it doesn't look real. And that's one thing about this display. You'll look at it and you'll just say, wow, that is a great display. So I do love the display, and it is great for content creation because it is super color accurate, and it's a really hard decision between the 4K and the Full HD. And if you ask me, unless you have a need for the 4K, some specific need, like maybe you edit 4K video, maybe you want to see one-to-one previews, or maybe you want to watch Netflix at Ultra HD, although 1080p on a 15-inch screen is perfectly fine. So unless you have a specific need for 4K, stick with the Full HD. Battery life is really good, 94 watt-hour battery. You'll get around your 7 hours normal use, Word, Excel, YouTube, email, etc. I know I wasn't able to get nearly 10 hours, just a bit over 9 hours with a video rundown test. So good battery life. I don't know how the 4K model would be. At a guess, I'd say it would be a bit less. But then again, this is 144Hz, so maybe this uses as much power. I'll try and get a 4K model in. We'll see how we go there. Upgradeability, you can upgrade the RAM, you can upgrade the SSDs, put two M.2 SSDs in there, and the battery is easily replaceable. So fantastic there. Now when it comes to performance, check out my video editing review and my gaming review. They are detailed reviews on specifically those tasks. But to just sum it up, this laptop gets maximum performance out of these components. It does not throttle GPU or CPU. Gaming, 3.5 to 4 gigahertz on the CPU. GPU is 1400 to 1500 megahertz. I have seen other competitors with this would actually throttle video editing. This one did not throttle gaming or video editing. Maximum performance. These 8th generation 6-core parts are fantastic. You get better gaming performance and much better video editing performance. So powerhouse, absolute powerhouse this is. Now I've been using an XPS 15 for the last 2 years. Will I buy this laptop? Will this laptop be my next laptop? Well, so far it's definitely on top of the list. I really do have to wait until I see the other products, but this will be really hard to beat. I mean, what's not to like? Great display, great performance, doesn't throttle. It checks every box that you want, has all the ports. I mean, my only minor gripes is the trackpad's not as good as the best trackpad. It's certainly serviceable, but it's not as good. It gets as loud as a gaming laptop, but it has gaming parts in it. There's no laptop with these components that is not loud, so that's just normal. And sometimes you can hear the fan on idle. If you set it to silent, you generally will not hear the fan unless it's a really quiet room, but it would be nice if they could ramp those fans down a little bit. Maybe in a BIOS upgrade they can do that. So definitely in this class, it's very unique. I really do love it. I highly recommend it, and it just may be my very next laptop. So thank you guys for watching. Give me a like if you like this video. If you're new around here, please subscribe. And until next time guys, tally ho.